Well, welcome everybody, and on this lovely Thursday afternoon with the sun shining outside. So we're going to have a lovely session with Laura, who's going to do her final, unfortunately, her final session on theatre design. So without much ado, I'm going to swap over to Laura. Laura, if I can just pin you first before you start. And there we are. If everybody can make sure they're muted. And I'll pass over to you, Laura. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amanda. Good afternoon, everyone. It's brilliant to be back. And as Amanda said, this is my final workshop of the 3. And if you missed either of the other 2, then they're on the Red Earth website, so you can go back and do those workshops. You can do any of them independently, but this one is kind of the end of a process of 3 that kind of work in order. But likewise, if you've joined us for the first time today, you'll be able to join in. I've got 2 assistants today, which is fantastic. I've got Rosie and I've got Martha. Martha is 8 years old and Rosie's 5 years old. And we've been having a practice at some of the things we're going to do in the workshop today all together, haven't we? And they'd like to share with you some of the things they've made whilst I'm talking. So we are surrounded, you can't see this because obviously I'm just talking to you here, but we're surrounded by things. So we're going to have to, we're surrounded by lots of different things, aren't we? So we're going to have to we're going to have to be quite good at grabbing things when we need them, and we'll have to try and keep up with the different bits along the way. So today in the last workshop we had a go at being theatre designers ourselves and had a go at making a shoebox model of a world that we would love to be living in. So I'm going to bring back Martha and Rosie's one here that they've been playing with. So we've lost a few things from this, but some of it's still there. So Rosie made this hot air balloon.
And the trees I coloured in and the hot air balloon I coloured in.
That's right. And then Martha made these little people here that are her friends, because she's missing her friends at the moment. So she'd like to put them in this imaginary box. And we've got all these holes in our box and on the top that enable us to be able to put things in and out, and we can play with our box like it's a little bit like a doll's house. So things can slide in and out from the side and go up and down from the top.
And this is one of my shoeboxes from my train.
Yeah, that's Rosie's shoebox. So, okay, so let's put that down, Rosie. Okay, so today in today's workshop, we're going to have a look at how we can make things transform. Now, if you go and see a theatre production, you might remember the scenery changing during the performance. So it might change from one thing into another. I'm just going to get Rosie to stop fiddling, because it's going to be a bit noisy. You might have noticed things changing on stage. Now, in theatre, it's quite different to when you watch a film, because in a film, when we want to change from one location to another, it's quite easy because they just take their camera and they film somewhere else. Or if it's an animated film, they'd be drawing one picture, and then if they want to move you somewhere else, they would do another drawing. And in theatre, it's actually quite tricky sometimes to make a transformation from one world to another. But we have different ways of doing that. So today we're going to have a little look at some of the ways that we can do that in a theatre production. So I'm going to just go to share my screen with you now, and then you can hopefully see some pictures of some shows that I've designed, and we'll have a little look at how some of the stage sets transform in these pictures. So let's go to that one, and then okay, can everyone see a picture of a big suitcase? Brilliant, got thumbs up there. So I shared this picture in the first workshop. This is a show where at the beginning of the production, the audience come in and all they see on stage is this suitcase. Now, it wasn't the same size as the suitcase you'd have at home. It was really huge. It was bigger than the height of a person. So you can see here, this little miniature man that I've made in the model shows you how big the suitcase was. So it's much taller than him. And this is a play called Emma and the Detectives. It's about a little boy who goes on a journey. So in this production, there was a very big transformation, and that was that the suitcase opened up to reveal the set. So if I go down one, you can see there, that's what the inside of the suitcase looked like. So it was a big transformation that the audience weren't expecting. So it was a really lovely moment when the suitcase opened. And the actors themselves could open that suitcase. So it was like 2 giant doors that they opened up. If I go on another slide, This is Red Earth's most recent show, and this is called Soon Child, and it's set in the North Pole. And you can see we've got musicians as well as actors in the space here. And the set was made of these different shapes that looked a little bit like icebergs. And in this photograph here, you can see that the whole set was lit in a kind of blues and whites, icy colours, so it felt like it was very cold. And then we could make a big transformation in how the space looked just by using lighting. So I'm going to just go down one more picture. And here you can see it's exactly the same set, but just with light, we've gone from it all feeling very icy and cold to it suddenly feeling really hot. And this is a picture of the world on fire. So you can see there's trees here up on the back cloth here, and there's lots of bright red, orange and yellow lighting. So that's a big transformation there. And you can see here as well at the back that there's now a picture of a person in that circle at the back. So that's changed, that's transformed as well from that to that. And that's all been done with light and shadow. So that's quite a simple way of transforming. We go again to another slide. Now this is what's called a storyboard, and this is something else I do in my job sometimes. And this is often when I'm designing a show that's got lots of changes that need to happen throughout the production. And this is a show called Gorilla, which is an adaptation of a children's book by Anthony Brown. And it transforms from, at the top here, you've got the picture of a bedroom. And this is about a little girl who's obsessed with gorillas. So all around her bedroom, all along the top of the stage here are lots of pictures of gorillas. This is her bed here. And you can see there's a coat hung up there and there's a door. So we're inside her bedroom. And at night, her little cuddly toy gorilla turns into a real gorilla. And the whole of her bedroom transforms and it turns into a nighttime world. So behind all these pictures of the gorillas was a big cloth rolled up, and that came down into the space, and suddenly we had a big moon at the back, and her bed turned around and flipped over and became this grassy bank here. And then some buildings popped out of her bed along here. You can see some buildings there. And then in this picture, a branch came down from behind the gorilla pictures. So this set's changing all the time. You come down to here, she makes a trip to the cinema with the gorilla that she makes friends with. So another cloth came down here to show a cinema screen. And then at the end, the little girl and the gorilla enjoy a really big feast together. So we've got a picture of a feast here that popped out of the bed like a giant pop-up book. So here there's lots of different changes. And as a designer, I've used what's called a storyboard to show how the set needs to change throughout the production. And they use these sorts of things in film as well to show different changes. Right, I'm just gonna stop the screen share now. So this morning, Martha, Rosie and I, we were sat in Martha's bedroom and we were talking about what things transform in our house. We were thinking, can we find some things that transform? So it didn't take us long. Martha just looked up at her bed. Do you want to share what you found first of all?
No, I found that.
Well, you found that,
Yeah.
but Martha's going to share this one. So she's found this
Found
snake,
it.
and he's got amazing scaly skin made of sequins that if she brushes it one way, it goes silver, and if she brushes it back the other way, it goes multicolored. So that's something in her bedroom that transforms from one to another. So that's a lovely example of something at home. Rosie's going to show us one of the things she found now. So she found this is a little toy, and it's got a kind of neck that extends. This is actually, you can keep sweets in this, can't you? So
You put sweets in that part and then it comes out in there when you open it.
yeah, so this transforms. Again, you probably wouldn't expect it to do it, but it suddenly can go whee, up and back down again like that. And then Rosie also spotted this, which makes a lovely transformation. This opens all the way out into a lovely, let me make sure that's in everybody's picture. Really pretty decoration. So when it's closed,
It's a fan.
it's like a fan. You don't know anything's going to happen, and suddenly you get a wonderful fan shape like that. Okay, I've got a couple more things I'm just going to share with you. Now I'm going to show these Rosie to keep up with time. We don't want to spend too much time on this. So this one, oh, it's come out here, is something the girls have made, which they've painted and coloured. So it was, this is how it came to start with. It's all in blue and white, and then when they coloured it in, it's got a lovely colourful, looks very colourful now on these sides, and the way it transforms is it can spin around and they can hang that up in their bedroom. So that transforms by turning around and also by going from just blue and white to lots of pretty colours.
And it can also do this. Because it's 3D.
It is 3D. Okay, last one we're going to look at is this, which is a picture book. And this is a fabulous book at transforming because it is a pop-up book. So here, we didn't expect that to happen. We've got an amazing fairy tale cottage and a wolf next to the cottage. And we've got a man there by a fireplace. So this makes really lovely transformations by popping up. We've got a forest there with lots of leaves. Okay, so we've got some lovely transformations there. Okay, so in Red Earth's next production this year, they're going to be working on a book called The Red Tree by an author called Sean Tan, and he has created a series of really beautiful illustrations. And in his book, he's got a really wonderful transformation. So what I'm going to do is just go back to the share screen again, and I'm going to show you a transformation image he's got in his book. So let's do my best to do that. Here we go. So that's where we were before. So in his book, he's got this a little girl in his book who has a day where she goes on an interesting journey, and she finds it a really hard day. Lots of things go wrong, and at the end of the story, she comes back to her bedroom and opens the door, and this is what she discovers: a little red leaf, what looks like a leaf or a flower, on her floor. And you can sort of tell by the way her bedroom has been drawn with all these dark, gloomy colours that her whole life's not feeling very happy at the moment. But there's this lovely one little image here of this little red leaf. So there's a feeling that maybe something is about to change and transform in the story. And if we go on one more slide, up to here, we see an amazing transformation in the book. So it becomes the little tiny flower or leaf grows into the most beautiful tree, and it creates this beautiful sphere of red light in her bedroom. And suddenly the girl looks happy, and the light of the tree and the light from the door are lighting her face. So it's a really beautiful transformation that takes place. Right, I'm going to stop the share now. So me and the girls this morning had a little look at how we could make our own artworks at home that could transform, and we had all sorts of different ideas. We're going to share a few of those at the moment. And some of them, interestingly, work a little bit like how we make transformations in stage spaces. So in the theatre, we can make transformations by bits of scenery being pulled up or pulled down, or they come in from the side, or they disappear out to the side. Sometimes in really old theatres, they've actually got holes in the stage of the floor, and things can actually appear from underneath the stage, which is really a really exciting way for scenery to appear and disappear. And then we can do lots of things with light and lots of things on ropes. And we can also make scenery that spins round and round, and that's called a revolve. So Rosie this morning had a go at creating...
I coloured in it on my drawers.
She had a go at creating this now, but I'm just going to hold it. I'm going to just angle it a bit, Rosie, so everyone can see. Now we just used a paper plate here, and we're going to put a little person in there. Yeah. And Rosie's made this, so it's what's called a revolve, so it can spin around. So we've got two different pictures. On my own. Okay, so on this side, the little person.
It's a dark, deep cave because I've been learning about the bear hunt.
Yeah, Rosie's been studying. We're going on a bear hunt at school, so she thought she'd like to do a big dark cave.
And I had to write the story.
You did, didn't you? But actually, it's not a cave. If we turn it around, there's something really wonderful in this world. There's an amazing rainbow, so we can move our person into the amazing rainbow. So that transforms that way. Right, Martha's had a really lovely go at creating something as well. So let's have a look at what Martha's done. Just turn so. Okay, so Martha, hold them up then. Let's turn it around. So Martha made, she thought, I'd like to make a picture of a present. And I'm going to make the present look really boring and really uninteresting. It's going to just be in black and white. But she had a really clever idea of how to fold her paper to make her paper transform. So show everyone what your paper does, Martha. It opens up like that, and out of that boring, dark, black and white present comes this wonderful rainfall of all different colours, or like confetti or fireworks, and it's like an explosion. So she's had a really brilliant idea there of how that can happen, and she worked this out all by herself, really simply, just by folding a piece of paper in half and then folding up one side, and then it just folds out like that. So again, that could be a really interesting way of doing our stage scenery, where we could have a piece of scenery.
Now Martha's going to show you another one.
Yeah, she's going to show us another one. So that's another one you did. Martha thought this was a lovely way of making changes. So what's this one?
A rain cloud.
A rain cloud into a rainbow. So again, that one folds out like that.
I like the rainbow.
Okay. Then we've got this one here, which we have a look at together. Yeah, we don't want to spoil the surprise, Rosie. So let's turn it this way. And then I'm just going to bring our little, we made these little, let me just fold it up. So on this one, for a minute, we've got our little man who's just fallen over. He stood in what looks like a bit of a muddy field. So he's got this brown ground that he stood on, and behind him is what looks like a bit of a brown muddy bank.
Or the fence,
or
but the brown
one. Couldn't it?
Looks straight, like.
Yeah, so he's got this behind him, so it doesn't look like a particularly fun place to be, but we made a concertina that opens up and creates a piece of scenery behind him, and suddenly he's in a really colourful world, full of swirls and curls and sunshines and flowers. So he's in a really magical place. So that's a lovely transformation there that we've done with our piece of paper. Okay, so I'm going to now set you all up with another little creative challenge to go off and do. You can hopefully share back with us at Red Earth. So I'd like you to have a go at making a transformation, and I'd like you to have a go at thinking about a contrast. So it could be you go from a sad place to a happy place, or you go from a rainy place to a sunny place, or you can make a transformation where a place feels like it's a bit scary to a place that feels really safe. So think about what you'd like your transformation to be, and then you could have a go at one of these techniques we've used, whether it's revolve or something that unfolds, or maybe you'll have your own idea. And you can create them in any shape that you want. So Martha's is on a piece of paper that works vertically. This is on a piece of paper that works horizontally, and Rosie's is on a circular disc that goes round and round. So that's one thing you can have a go at. And then we've also got...
and at the bottom there's also...
Oh yeah, that's worth showing, isn't it? Yeah. So the way we made this one is we've got a paper plate, and then we've got another disc, and then we just used a paper fastener through them.
And it also might be best if you sellotape that with the
yeah, and then we created the artwork, and then we just stuck it on there, and it can spin as many times as it wants to. It's really strong. If we do this in the theatre, sometimes we can actually put this sort of thing on a motor. So we build a piece of scenery onto a disc that can turn around by a motor. So someone can literally press a button on the side of the stage, and they can control the speed it moves, and it can spin round and round, and that can enable us to change the way the scene
And you definitely
goes.
wouldn't like to live in a cave when it's all dark.
You wouldn't, would you? Right, so I've got one more idea as well that can give you another idea of things to do at home, which is based a little bit on what we did last time. So I'm going to, Rosie, can I just move that one and get this box? So I'm going to put it on the box here. So this is having a look at using a box like we did last time to create a design for a space. So in our box here we've made together, we've looked at all sorts of different things in there that can make us feel like it's a certain sort of place. I'm just going to hold it there, Rosie, because that's not flat. Okay. So we've got a big storm cloud up here, and then we've got some rain that comes down through the storm cloud. And then the background of our box here is really dark and murky, so it feels a little bit like it's a gloomy day. It's not feeling like it's a very friendly place to be in. And at the back here, we drew a big rock or mountain. Yeah, just a minute. And then on the rock is a tiny house. And it looks quite dark on here, but we've deliberately done this a little bit like the red tree, where rather than the whole picture looking gloomy and dark, we put one tiny thing in there that draws your eye and makes you think, oh, I wonder what that is. And it's in a little bit of colour, so there's a little red house there. So we thought it might be fun to change this gloomy world into a really beautiful, exciting world. So we've got some different ways. Come on, just a second, so you can sort of explain. We've got some different ways that this can transform. Now, in theatre, it's really nice sometimes if when we make transformations on stage, we reuse some of the elements by turning them around or flipping them upside down or turning them inside out so that nothing is wasted. So we use the same pieces over and over again. So in this box, we've got all sorts of different ways it can change. We've got at the back here our backcloth. Now in Alex's lighting workshop, she showed us how you can change a backcloth in a show. So if I undo it, you can see there, you'll be able to see through the box now. That's what we drew at first, which was this dark, gloomy, scribbly sky. Oh no, not turning it around, Rosie. We're not turning it around. We're going to turn the backcloth around. And we're going to put it back in. And then we've got, suddenly, it's a blue sky in the background. And at the front here, the rain cloud's going to come out. And it's, yeah, I'm going to turn that in a minute. We're going to take the rain cloud out and then we're going to turn that around. And we've suddenly got a lovely grassy bush there. We've got our nice slots in the side of our box so we can slot that one in there. Now the rain cloud's going to fly out of our box. And we thought it would be lovely to be stood by a waterfall gushing behind this grassy bank. So suddenly there's a lovely waterfall there. So what happens to the little house? Wow, this piece here that we're going to bring out, hang on a sec, Rosie, is a folded piece that's folded in this shape. And actually, we think this could be something that turns around. And the mountain top or the rock itself becomes the roof of our little house. And we thought this was a bit inspired by Hansel and Gretel, so it's like a little house of sweets. So that can turn around and go back in there. So we've used 4 pieces there, but they have all done different things to change our scenery. So it went from quite a dark, scary place to suddenly a place that we're really excited to be in. Okay, now look at where our little man's gone, but we did have our, we've lost him maybe, so that's okay. Oh, here he is, we found him. So we could also put our little person there, and this person stood in a way that makes they look like they're quite happy, so I think they're probably quite pleased to now be stood in that space. And obviously, once you've made your box, you could have a go at taking a photograph of how your box looks at the beginning. And you could do a storyboard like I showed you with the Play About the Gorilla, where you take photos of each different element and how that it can change in your box to go from one place to another. So in the red tree, we saw the wonderful little red leaf grow into a really big red tree. And suddenly the little girl's life looked really happy. So you could have a little think of what story you'd like to tell and what transformation you'd like to make in that space. So there you are, you've got a lovely range of things to do there. You could do it as simply as a piece of paper that you draw a picture on that folds out to create a new image, or you could use any of the things we've shown you today at how to shift from one place to another. Right, I'm gonna hand you back to Amanda, if that's okay, and she can give you some information which will just let you know we're hoping to create a kind of online gallery of all the work that's been created in this. Mouse being switched on next to me here. So I'm going to hand you back to Amanda, which is probably good because Rosie's obviously lost a little bit of concentration, and she's going to give you the email address that you can send any work that you create to, and then hopefully at the end of this project, Red Earth will create a gallery of all the work that you've put together. And particularly because we're going to be working on this production next with lots of ideas about things transforming, it might well be that some of the work that we create might inspire us for our next production. So it's a really exciting opportunity. Okay, I'm going to hand you back to Amanda. Let's all wave goodbye, girls.
Bye. Bye, we're waving goodbye.
Okay, right.
Bye.
Thank you very much, Laura. That's brilliant. And also to your 2 amazing assistants, Rosie and Martha. That's wonderful. What a lovely session. And it's really lovely to see how easy it is to transform things. And I noticed something that when you started adding colour to the lovely box, the set box you've made, I started smiling. And I think that's really, really important, because in theatre we try and create different moods where people feel different things because of the context that we've created for them. And like you said, you know, with Alex's session, light and colour and different contexts can make you feel different things, and you almost like following the emotional journey of the characters as well through other elements of theatre. So it's absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much. And I'm so sorry it's the last session, because it'd be lovely to do a whole online course with you, Laura, about designing theatre. So just before we go then, I'm just going to remind you of the email address. If you do make anything in response to Laura's session, then send it through to calmandcreative@redearththeatre.com. I'll say that again, calmandcreative@redearththeatre.com. So any drawings, any photographs of drawings, any transformations, any model boxes. Certainly, if you want to send any transformations that make us smile, that would be lovely. And so I'll just say thank you very much to everybody, and go well and stay safe.